Welcome to the Unleash the Potential podcast. We're here with two Eastern field hockey players that just completed their season. Lindsay, Tripodo, Podo, and Theresa, Schmus. So we are going to get into all the fun things that, again, we talked a little bit with last week's guest, Lindsay, about injuries and battling through that. And this week, the transition from playing high school and now in that transition jumping into college, right? So without the experience yet and that kind of thing. So ladies, without further ado, where did your love for field hockey start? Therese, we'll start with you. Go ahead.
So one day I was looking, we used to get like CER catalogs for like little, like arts and crafts classes and stuff. And I was looking through one day in like 5th grade, and they had one for field hockey, and it was at like Crescent School. So I like just started going on Sundays. I asked my dad if I could go, and I started going Sundays and really liked it. And I got to the point where I'd be in my backyard like every day, like snow, like it'd be middle of February, like snow on the ground, and I'd be hitting like balls against my shed. I ended up breaking my shed. But ever since that, like, the little CER, like, class, I've just loved it ever since. I used to, like, love going to practice. I started club then. I started a little later than everyone else, but it was so much fun, and I still love it, so.
Awesome.
And my mom, my grandmother, my aunt, and all my cousins all play field hockey, so it was kind of natural that I started playing.
You were forced into it.
Yeah. I started playing, I was in the field when I was in 1st grade, and then I was about as terrible as a 6-year-old or however old you are can be. Right. And my coach said, how about you try goalie? I was like, no, I'm going to get hurt. They're going to hit me with the balls. But then I switched over, and ever since then, I haven't taken them off.
Right. So let me ask you, so one of the things that most people say in the hockey world, and I guess all the other sport worlds as well, the ones that are goalies are the craziest. You got a little crazy?
A little bit. I will show my friends pictures, like tell them stories, and they're like, how do you like voluntarily just put on these pads and just get shot at by like, these horrible little balls? Yeah. Honestly, like, I think about it, I'm like, why do I do it? But it's just so much more fun, and it's like more like rewarding, I feel like, than being a field player. Sorry.
Right off the bat, shots fired.
Whoa.
I don't know. You gotta be a little crazy to do it. But I think lacrosse goalies are crazier than hockey goalies.
Lacrosse goalies are crazy. The things that happen in there, I'm just like, you just got a big old net, but like...
Barely any padding.
Yeah.
There's a lot of padding.
I have plenty of padding.
Right.
Like 50 pounds worth of padding.
I hit you a few times.
Yeah. Oh my
Lindsay
God.
used to get so mad at me.
I still get mad. Cause I have, like, there's like spots that don't have stuff on them, and when they get hit, that's what
I'm always the one that hits her in the spots that she doesn't have padding. She like screams at me.
Theresa, you're just the best.
I know.
I should put my man bun up so I can do my hair flip too. Cool. All right, so that kind of got you started in there. So girls, what was it like? So what got you? Because you're from
Voorhees.
Gibby. Gibbsboro.
Okay. All right. So you both were supposed to go to Eastern, right?
Yeah.
Because it's always the whole point. So so how did you kind of so you were going to be pulled into the Eastern team anyway, right? And with like the 20-some years of wins, which is, I'm gonna tell you now, still to this day, like it's just the craziest thing for me because like, so like I do some work with like the Cherokee ice hockey team, and like they have a lot of championships, but like it's just insane. 20-some years of like just
21.
Sorry, I said 20-some years of just championships. Like it's just crazy. So it's amazing to get pulled into that you're moving into that. So like it's an accomplishment to play in the team in any way, and it's pretty awesome. So so how did knowing that, right? Because I'm assuming you girls from the 5th grade and you said
grade.
So like 1st grade, right?
Yeah.
So like you girls knew that was like you knew what was happening, the history that was going on, right? So you knew that you were going to be part of that, that culture, that whole piece. So like what happened, so middle school, right? Like where were you at middle school? And I'll start with you on this one. So like middle school, right? Like what was the process for you to, like where were you playing? Were you playing for High League? Were you playing for someone else? Like how did you kind of transition yourself up?
For middle school, Gibbsboro's a really small town, really small team. We looked like the Bobo squad. It was pretty bad. Like we were three girls, me and like these 2 other sisters who are good. We pretty much like led the team, and then everybody else kind of like picked up a stick in August and put it down in October. But I was playing for club at the same time. During middle school, it was for Spirit, and then Uprise, which is High League's club, started in 8th grade. So I switched over to that. So but High League wasn't coaching for Uprise. It was our coach Kat. But it was still like that same like mentality of like High League's mentality. So I kind of was introduced to that in 8th grade. So it made the transition to like high school a little bit easier.
So, and were there so you kind of playing through like the different years, like the middle school was there? Were any fun stories? I think like right when you think of your middle school years, right? Like first thing that pops in your head, what do you remember from the middle school years?
I remember I used to hate the warm-up lap, so I used to go to I used to go to extra help and like with my math teacher, and then go out to practice. Or that was like the big one. What else? Not sophomore year. I'm thinking in like high school terms. When I was in 6th grade, we went to the championship, and it was a corner. The one ref. Oh my god, I'm gonna like start crying this story. This story is so traumatic for me.
I remember this.
So the one ref called a corner. The other ref didn't call a corner, and then the defensive corner unit, we like backed in the cage, and the other ref's like play, and then the girl shot it and went in, and they called it as a goal, and we lost.
You want a tissue right now?
I'm actually okay. But yeah, that's like my favorite memory, but like that's like what sticks out the most when I think about like Gets Rough hockey.
Well, it's crazy because I know like for me too. I to this day I hate the Jersey Devils because I played for the Quebec team, which is like I played for the Philadelphia team, and you go to Quebec and it's crazy. At 13, like you go to Quebec City, and where the Quebec Nordiques, like the professional team used to play. You play in that rink, and like the people there are just like, it's insane. Like, they're asking for 13-year-old autographs. Like, I'm a 13-year-old asking for your autograph. You know, it was insane. Like, the experience is crazy. So there's like 20,000 people watching you. Like, it's the tournament's like from all over. And to this day, I still remember we were winning 2-0. We were undefeated this whole thing. We're into like the quarterfinals. We're winning 2-0, and all of a sudden, it goes to 2-1. And then with 3 seconds left, one of the defensemen on our team didn't get the puck out. Goes right to their top scorer. He snipes it. We go to overtime at 2-2. And then, ladies, we lost. To this day, I can't. Anyone that wears a Devils jersey, because we played the team that we. Yeah, it's not about me. Anyway, never mind. I understand that hurt. I feel that hurt. So actually, I'm gonna get a tissue because I. So, all right, cool. So, how about you? Middle school. Talk to me.
So I had the same experience. We all played Spirit together. It's funny because like the senior group this year, we've been together since. I don't even know how long since I started playing. Like I kind of joined in. I was like a little straggler. I wasn't really friends with them for like 2 years, but so I played Spirit with all of them, and then I started Uprise when High League created the club. But I always did like futures and stuff, and Coach High League used to coach futures. So we had her for a little, and she used to do these like little clinics, or it would be like 6 people, and we just play. And I used to love going because I was like, oh my gosh, so like. I want to play so bad for Easter, and like I want to get better, like so I used to go to them all the time. And then we also used to like go to the Eastern games constantly. We were we used to be ball girls for like the Eastern games.
Aww.
Like she'd like run up in the stands and be like, "Does anyone want to be a ball girl?" And we'd all be like, "Oh my god."
Not me. I used to hide in the car. I didn't want to do it. I didn't want to mess up. I'd be like, let's go when I'm home.
Yeah, because oh my god, I was so afraid.
They'd yell at us.
They'd yell.
Right.
I'm sorry. But yeah, we used to go to the Eastern games all the time. I used to love going. I used to think about that.
They were fun to go to.
In middle school, all I wanted to do was play for Eastern hockey. That was all I wanted to do. I thought about it all the time. I used to like buy all the gear because they like sell the gear at the games. Just like run around in my little FU headband, acting like I already played for them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, besides being a ball girl, any other middle school? Any other middle school, remembrances or whatever?
Well, it was just, there weren't many girls on the team that actually played field hockey. It was like me, Kendall, and our friend Stacy. We were the only ones that actually like really played, like did outside clubs. So it was just kind of like, we played like teams who've never, like girls who just played for fun. So it was never like serious. Like But I do remember losing, how you talked about losing that. We lost against Medford, and I was so upset.
That's who we lost against, too.
Oh, yeah, that's who they lost against, too. Because both, I was so upset. It was like my 8th grade year. We had championships. We made it. We finally beat, I don't even remember the school's name, Mount Laurel School. We lost every year, 6th and 7th grade. We finally beat them like 6-0, 8th grade. And I remember like just, we were tied 2-2. And then we lost 5-2 on the championship, and it was just so sad because I was like, I'm never going to be able to do this again.
Isn't it crazy that the losses are always more, like, right, like the championships are, you know, but like the losses are the ones that we, well, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about the losses? Tell us a little bit about that.
It got more intense as I got to high school because it's just such a different, like, going to Eastern, like, you have that legacy, like, it's not supposed to be something that's like held above your head, but like you always think about it.
Right.
Like there's so many like amazing girls that played before us. Like we don't want to let them down.
Right.
They come back all the time. Like my freshman year, I played with some of the best field hockey players in the country right now playing college. Like Ken Keegan is literally the captain of Northwestern, who's in the Big Ten and made it to the Elite 8, something like that. Like insane. Like I played with like some of the greatest girls in the country, and like I'll never forget when we lost my freshman year. I'll never forget when I was in the football stands and we went on this away trip. We go every other year. We play a PA team and a Kentucky team, and we were freshmen. We didn't play varsity, like, so they went away, varsity went away, and we stayed. And we were at a high school football game on Friday, and we got a call that they lost, and it was the first time they lost after 150 something games. Wow. The longest winning streak in high school history. And they lost, and it was like wildfire in the stands. People were like finding out because I guess it got tweeted, and everyone was like people were like cheering that we lost in the stands.
Yeah, people like to hate greatness.
Yeah, and so I just remember sitting there in shock. I think we left. I think your mom came and picked us up.
I think my mom came and picked us up too.
Yeah, I think Lindsay's mom came and picked us up because we were just like, it's like heartbreaking. Like I wasn't even playing, and like but I'm on the team, and like. That was like the most awful feeling. And then the next day they played another game. We were at the diner. We had like a JV tournament. Got another text that they lost again.
Wow.
It's 2 days in a row.
So how was that like in the locker room? How were the coaches? What was that like?
Well, we thought we were gonna get ran into the ground. We actually didn't. So we just had a regular practice. We ran, and then I don't remember
the details. I just remember being so scared that day in school.
Yeah.
I think I had like study hall last period or something last period, and I was sitting there like, oh my god, I'm gonna die today. Today's today. I'm going. I was like, today I'm gonna die. My mom should call the funeral home. Like I was so scared, but it ended up being not as bad as I expected. I remember that, but I don't remember really anything about it.
She was just upset because they didn't come out the next day. Mm. I think she was just upset because we knew we were good enough.
Right.
Like there was no reason we should have lost. We were a great team. We were so good our freshman year. Like we were so good, and like there's no reason we should have lost. So I think she was just like disappointed, which makes sense.
Right.
And then TOCs that year was heartbreaking because there's no way we should have lost. No way we should have lost.
TOC?
Yeah, tournament champions.
Oh, so gotcha.
So we won states, and then tournament champions is every state champion the state of New Jersey plays in a tournament. To really find out who's number one in the state. So we played against West Essex, and it was like a back and forth game. We tied, we went into overtime, and then we had this really controversial call. Like, they called a corner.
No, they called a stroke.
Yeah, but first they called a corner. They called a corner, and it didn't hit anyone's foot or anything, like it shouldn't have been a corner. And then they called a stroke, which is a one-on-one shot. Like, it's like a penalty kick in soccer. It's just like, what are you gonna do? Mm-hmm. And it was overtime, and it was so controversial. I remember it was like...
It was golden goal. She called a stroke.
Yeah.
It didn't even look like our goalie even was ready for it. The girl shot it, goal, over. And almost were like...
Like, how bad was the penalty to actually call? Because the thing is, like, to me...
It wasn't bad at all. It shouldn't have been.
That's what I'm saying. Like, when you're talking about golden goal, you're talking about championships, you're talking about, like, somebody saying, like, the refs are supposed to put their whistles away. Like, at that point, like, unless if you come out there and you hit someone in the face, all right, I get that. But, so, like, it was just, like, a light...
Oh, no, They didn't even... No one touched anyone. Like, we still, to this day, don't know why they called it a stroke.
Wow.
And I think our coaches asked and they didn't give a solid answer. I remember,
that's crazy.
And like Coach Hiley, I remember, didn't even blame us after the game. She wasn't mad at us.
That's insane. That's I didn't realize that's how, like, wow, that's crazy.
It's on YouTube.
It really, yeah. Oh wow, that's tough.
Yeah.
Well, so, and actually, kind of come back. So you were saying you were worried the next day and the whole thing. What how was it in school? The kids in school, how was that? Did you get a lot of questions? Like, how was? Because I didn't even think about that. So, like, you know, it's one thing to worry about coming to practice and that kind of thing, but like, how was it? You know. Did you get any fun questions?
People ask me questions that I really didn't know the answer to because I wasn't there.
Right.
But the amount of like, oh my god, you feel like you lost, like that in the hallways was crazy. You're like, oh my god, finally, about time they lost. Like things like that. Like the people who support us are like a minority in the school. I think.
No one supports us. Like people want us. People we go to school with want us to lose. Like they thought it was funny that we lost.
That's insane.
It's really it's like disheartening to go through a really like hard loss and then to not have your classmates and stuff like not support you on that.
Like our state championship games, no one goes besides our parents. Like our state championship,
we beg people to go too.
We ask people to go. We're like, why not go? And they're like, why are we gonna go if you're just gonna win?
Right.
Freshman year, it was like a close game too, and still no one came. Like no one comes to any of our games. And
if I knew you back then, I would have been there.
Thanks, you. That's all that matters.
It's too late now, but just so you know, like this in spirit, I'm at the games that that were. That's tough. That's because support's like the biggest thing, especially like when you're working your butt off, and like it's amazing what the Eastern program has done. So, so now coming to move forward a little bit from past freshman years, so let's talk a little bit about what your 4 years were, because you girls are moving on next year, right? So you were together all 4 years. So like, what was that like? What was your experience at Eastern?
Overall, I would say it was a positive experience. Like I learned so much from the 4 years, and of course there were days that I was like, I'm quitting, I'm done, like I'm not doing this anymore. But I never did. Obviously, I kept going with it, and I don't think I would change it for the world. Like it was, the running and stuff. Like you can look over that. Like obviously, I didn't die. I thought I was gonna die.
But you didn't.
But I didn't die. So
that's where it starts.
Yeah, and honestly, the running is the worst part. To some people, you can look over that. Right. So like, the coaching that I got was great. So like, it's really easy to overlook the bad parts when you are looking and you're seeing all the positives that you're getting.
So, what would you say from over the 4 years? What would be like the takeaways that that came to you that are going to get you ready for playing in college?
I learned a lot. Like losing is like it's okay. It's just you have to set a higher standard than just losing everything. Right. Being mediocre is not okay. One time I came home from practice, I was so upset. I don't know what had happened that day, but I came home, we were eating dinner, and I started crying at the dinner table. My parents were like, "Why are you crying?" But I just don't understand it. And then I said, "You guys aren't giving me any sympathy. Highly don't give me any sympathy." And my dad said to me, "You want sympathy? You can find a dictionary between shit and syphilis." That's what he told to me. So that's something that wasn't even from Highly, but that's really, she didn't give us sympathy. Right. So you can't just go through your entire life have people feel sorry for you. You have to strive for better than that. So that's really what I learned.
That's awesome. Because what's really interesting to me is like mediocre. Because there's a lot of people that talk about what's the point of spending all this money on camps and all the money that your parents spend, right, to develop you in that sport, right? Mm-hmm. You could just save all that money and just put it towards a scholarship.
Yeah.
But the difference is like you girls are going through hardships. You're learning how to deal with crazy situations, right? Like things that you wouldn't learn just if you just went to school, you studied for your for your tests and just hung out and did all the different things. Like you girls had like a serious schedule, so it's really cool. And I really like the there's no reason to be mediocre because like who we are, it's amazing to have the abilities and I feel like you want to jump in on something there.
Yeah, no, I say all the time, and I tell my dad this. My dad's like, well, what did you think about your 4 years? Because it wasn't easy. It was literally some of the hardest, probably the hardest 4 years of my life. But I would never ever take it back. I learned so many life lessons that I'm gonna take forever. I'm gonna take it away to college. I'm gonna take it for the rest of my life. I'm gonna take it when I have kids, family. I'm gonna take it when I have a job.
Right.
Like, it's not just all about field hockey. These life lessons are about everything else in your life too.
Do you have one that you wanna kind of throw out there?
Yeah, you have to work for everything. I learned that working hard is literally nothing's gonna be handed to you.
Right. Especially
Eastern Field Hockey, you have to work for everything. It's like bloodbaths every practice. Like, you're working I've never worked so hard in my life than I did with Eastern Field Hockey.
That's awesome.
And it was every single day. Every single day. Whether it was a run,
a competition day.
Competition day. Oh my god, competition days. I can't believe I never have to do one of those again. Yeah, the competition days were ruthless.
Do you have any, is there a particular one that you want to bring up?
Not a particular competition day, but definitely a particular run.
The one where you had to do 1 lap after the...
Oh no, I'm talking about the one where I passed out.
Oh.
We had like a run day, and we did like a tracker count. I passed out. Like, I fully just dropped. And everyone's like... And everyone was still running, and the whole football team was out there, and they had to like put me on the
What
car.
happened?
So we were running like timed laps and all this stuff. It was like a tracker count. And after like the second or third lap, I was just like, I felt so like dizzy. Well, I felt sick all day. And I remember I Snapchatted you guys, and I was like, just threw up, because I threw up when I woke up, and they were like, did you throw up or did you throw up? And I was like, I actually got sick. And then I was just sick throughout the whole day, but I didn't want her to think that I was like skipping the running practice. So I got really sick, and then I just passed out.
We were running sprints on the turf, and we were going back and forth, back and forth. We're standing there for a break, and I just hear this. And everyone's like, look, and there's Theresa on the ground. And then I think it was Coach Marshall. Coach Hack goes, who was it? And we're like, Theresa, go! They thought that they were... No, because it's funny too, because I used to always say, I was like, who's going to take one for the team today and just drop so we don't have to do this run? I was like, if one of you drops, we don't have to do it. And then I dropped it and they still ran.
Right.
So I was like, so ironic.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh, we should.
And you were okay?
Oh yeah, totally fine.
I mean, you're sitting here, so I'm assuming.
Yeah, I didn't die.
She pulled through.
I pulled through. It's fine, like 40 minutes later. I remember sitting they had like the, what's that thing they put in your hand that gets your heartbeat?
Oh, right.
And I was sitting there like this, what's going on?
Right.
And I was like, I remember the whole football team watched, and she drove. So embarrassing. The coach came up to me the next day, and Jim was like, "Are you okay, sweetheart?" I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Thank you, though.
Yeah, passing out is a tough one. I had someone pass out like right in front of me. She almost hit the glass table. I'm like,
yeah.
It was intense.
No, it's like a funny joke now. We
It
have
is
so many memories that were like awful at the time, but like the funniest things we can talk about now. Like, trying to think of some, like when oh my gosh.
I'm trying to like think of some off the top of my head. Just all the times people have just thrown up on people's shoes, on the grass, on the track.
Yeah.
We did a train one time, and the back of the train had to like go off the front of the train had to go and catch the back while they're still running, and nobody could get it.
Me and Jess got it,
and then
last second. So there were like 3 people left before the go. So they were like, once she blew in the whistle, we would have had to do it all over again. She was yelling, so we had to do it all over again. I remember me and Jess, we weren't even partners, and somehow like it was like wings on my feet, and I was like, I'm not doing this again, and like pushed me, and somehow me and Jess made it to the back just in time. That's like awesome. Right before we started. And I was like, thank you, someo's looking over me. Like,
at one point we were like, we can't run forever. Let's just we
can't run forever.
We can't just keep going.
That's what we said. We can't run forever. It'll be okay. Oh my gosh. That was a funny one.
And then one time we had a bunch of sprints, and Heilig said, "If you do this, it's double or nothing." And then we got it, and she was gonna make us do the sprints anyway. And then one of the girls was like, "You said double or nothing, right? Or nothing?"
And we were all like,
and we were like,
"Shut up!
Right.
Shut up!"
And she's like, "No, you're right. We're done."
And we're all like,
"Nothing. We're done."
We're all like,
"What?"
This isn't normal.
Yeah, it was totally like, yeah, she had balls that day.
Yeah.
I didn't. It was like 29 sprints or something like that.
No, it was like 40.
It was a lot.
40 sprints.
So we had nothing.
Yeah, because we run a track route, and then every missed time is a sprint. So if you're on a full track route, that's a 1 lap, a 2 lap, 3 lap, 4 lap, 3 lap, 2 lap, 1 lap, all timed. And there's like, what, 30 girls?
Yeah.
People are bound not to make it after you're running like a few miles.
Miles.
What is it, like 14 laps? I used to count. We used to run around what we used to do is we used to pick songs, and we would sing them in our heads while we ran. It's crazy how the escalation from freshman year to senior year, how like better I got at telling myself I wasn't gonna die. Like senior year, like freshman year, I'd like cry. I'd cry probably. We're gonna run a track route today, and I'd start crying in class. Like I wish I was joking. I probably did start crying in class. I think we did a few times. And then senior year, I'm just like, well, I haven't died yet, so I'm not gonna die this time. Me and Haley used to be like, oh, we'll get skinny. We'll still get skinny.
There you go.
I used to like find something to look forward to. Like if you just finish this, then you get to go on your bed. If you finish it, you get to go look at your phone.
Right.
So I had to just like find something to get through it. But like once you get through it, it's like the practice part of it. Like I could handle that. That was good for me. Because I'm a goalie. I didn't have to worry about but like a lot of times we were separate from the field players.
Mm-hmm.
So like once the running was done, I was like, okay, now I can just like work on what I need to work on.
Yeah. Practices were always so intense though. Competition days were crazy. So basically she'd put us against each other on teams, and like the losing team would have to run. So you'd run in the beginning, and then you'd run a competition, and then it'd be like a time lapse. You lose that competition. She put you in teams, and you're literally like beating each other up. Like no one wants to run. And she's like, she always said to us too that the practice we work the most hard at is the one where running is our punishment. We always work harder when running is our punishment.
Right.
That was competition days. Oh my gosh, they're crazy.
Well, I mean it's huge. Being able to compete, right, and being hungry, like that's one of the biggest parts. And you know, I guess for you girls, if sprints are the punishment, I'll be extra hungry to make sure to knock that out.
Oh my gosh,
that's cool.
No, they definitely helped us during games though. We're so competitive during games. It's like crazy.
I'm competitive during real life. Like I was going to who can finish like, the water bottle first. Like that's how competitive I am. Like
she's done it right.
Yeah, I'm extremely competitive, and I'm put in that like setting where it's like do or die.
Right.
I'm like, let's go. I get so hyped up. I'm screaming. Like I don't care if the girl on the team is my best friend. Not right now. She's not.
Oh my gosh, I remember TOC sophomore year. It was like my first year ever starting, and it was like the TOC final against Oak Knoll, and it was like number 2 versus number 1 in the state. Like we had tied in regular season, like it was like really time to tell like who was gonna be number 1. I remember being so nervous before the game, and then during the game, the biggest adrenaline rush I've ever had in my entire life. I don't think I've ever played harder. I remember walking off the field. Have you ever heard the term like walk off the field, you should not be able to like walk?
Right.
I could not walk.
Wow.
I was like, it was everything in my body. I remember just being so hyped up during the game, like going crazy. And I remember Kara scored off of that reverse chip. It was 0-0. Second half, Kara scored this amazing goal. I couldn't even run and celebrate. I stood there and just screamed. Screamed. I was like this.
Good job.
No, like screaming like this. Like I couldn't even run and like celebrate. I was just like the biggest, like I couldn't move. I was like, I probably looked so weird just standing there screaming like bloody.
Who's the weirdo?
What's she doing? Like, yeah, but no.
And that was a win that game? Oh no.
We lost in overtime.
We only have one TOC title.
Yeah.
Our junior
Over
year.
our 4 years, we've only had one TOC title, which is crazy. It's just junior year was amazing, but yeah, I remember sitting in overtime, and Coach Heilig told me and Kylie, we were 2 sophomores, and it was our first year starting, and she told us to put blankets on just in case we had to go in, and we're standing there, and I remember her scoring and us losing, and just standing there. And I was in the cold, and it was like everything I just worked for.
Right.
Like I just exerted all of my energy, gave everything I got, and like still didn't win. And that was probably the hardest game I've ever lost. think I'm emotional over like everything. Like I cry about, ask Lindsay, I cry about everything. And I literally, it took me like 10 minutes to cry after that one because it was just like shock still set in.
Right.
Because I was like, is this real? Like, I thought I was dreaming. I couldn't believe that I had just done all that and I'd given everything I got and we still lost.
At that point, like in the season, like we had, our sophomore season was kind of like up and down, but we'd always pulled it out. And every game we had lost that season, we'd always just find a way to come back, find a way. And then we didn't. And I was like, oh my God, we didn't do it. But then we were able to come back junior season a lot better.
It was, our junior season was amazing. That was like a dream season. When we get in trouble, we get our warm-up shirts taken away from us. That year, we did not get our warm-up shirts taken away from us once. There was no, like, there's always, like, a down in the season. There's always a little, like, hill. There was none. It was just up. It was such a good season. And I loved that team. I love that team. And I had some of, like, the best. Sydney Woolston was one of the best leaders I've ever had. She was amazing. And Lindsay Champlain, who we're having, like, she's so good. She was good, too. Lindsay was a senior, yeah, I remember that. Lindsay, Sydney, Maddie,
and Danny.
We had Danny. Oh, listen to this. Danny Milkby went to school for lacrosse. She'd never played, like, she played Eastern Fiocchi, she'd start and then she wouldn't start. It was just a back and forth for 4 years, and the fact that she still kept with it when she had a lacrosse scholarship was, like, badass. Like, that was badass. She gets in the TOC final and scores the winning goal.
Wow.
Having barely played and scores the winning goal in the TOC final. That sealed the deal for us.
That was junior year?
Yeah, junior year. Her senior year, last game ever, playing field hockey. Oh,
that's cool.
Yeah, I miss Danny.
Me too.
Yeah.
What about this, you mentioned there was a like a pump-up speech or a captain speech?
Oh, Lindsay's captain speech. Do you remember that? Lindsay Champlain's captain speech?
I was all, oh my God, it was so, like,
it was so good.
Like, emotional. Like, she was talking about
I cried.
Like,
I cried at everything. She was like,
I didn't realize that. See, like, we've trained together, and, like, I see you in here, there's always a big smile. I haven't seen you cry yet. Now I'm upset that there hasn't been at least one cry.
Oh, no, I'm emotional. I'm really emotional. I still remember the beginning of Lindsay's speech, isn't that
weird?
I remember the beginning of it. It was like, my 4 years have been a little bit different than everyone else's, and then started trying, because, you know, you got a lot of captain speeches are like, oh yeah, I've been a varsity starter for 4 years, and Lindsay's was like, mine's been a little different. I played JV, I was hurt for 2 years. I'm a senior now, and I just really want to lead this team. I think it'd be nice to have a different perspective, which was true. Lindsay was the nicest person ever.
Yeah.
Yeah, her speech was, I'll never forget it. I'll literally remember the beginning of it for like the rest of my life.
That's awesome.
It's funny how you remembered it too.
I remember just all about her rehab, and I was like, wow, she really did have like a different experience than everybody else.
She really had a different experience. Yeah. She worked really hard to get back though. Remember?
Yeah.
I remember hearing her tear it a second time, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe that happened again.
Yeah,
it's so unlucky.
Well, let's jump into so speaking of different experience and the whole like recruitment process. What do we got there? Who wants to start on that?
You want to
start? Yeah. I think it's when it comes to also with everyone else, like
what would be like a normal so someone like a normal recruitment process, and what was your what was the Theresa experience?
So, you know, you go to recruitment tournaments. It's kind of the same with every sport where you go to like showcases. Right. We used to go away for Thanksgiving every year. Oh my gosh, February. We used to go to Disney, like all these tournaments. And you know, I would watch my other teammates. Like sophomore year was the year like you really started like even freshman year a little bit towards the end.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, like you like I'm just pulling out random schools. Syracuse wants to have a phone call with you at this time, or like St. Joe's like wants you to come up for an unofficial on this day. And you know, I was so happy for my friends, they were getting all these stuff, but I got nothing. I didn't hear from anyone. I wasn't getting like I was reaching out to schools, I was going to all these clinics. Me and my dad every weekend in the spring. I didn't do anything. I didn't hang out. And my friends, it was driving somewhere, flying somewhere, going to visit all these schools. I was seeing where I liked, and I think I was getting a little discouraged because I was seeing all my friends get all these like offers to go visit and go all these places, and I was like, why aren't I getting one?
Right.
Like, why aren't I getting any? I was really like hurt. Like, I remember being so upset. It's rough, the recruiting process. It's really stressful, and it took me a while to realize that it's gonna be different for everyone. You know, it didn't start till my junior year when I was like, oh, you want to come visit this school? People were contacting Coach Hiley because they can't go directly through you. Like, the end of my sophomore year, junior year was when I really was like, oh, like now, like I'm starting to go these places. I committed the end of my sophomore year actually, so I knew where I was going by September 1st, my junior year, which is when they can contact you directly. So that was nice, but I remember like in the beginning, freshman year and the beginning of sophomore year, just being so discouraged, and then like they started.
So when does it come in usually? Like when the girls usually get like a commitment from a school?
Well,
when do they usually commit to a school?
It's different now. They changed the rules. You like can't talk to anyone until you're junior. Like not even like calling them and they can answer. Like you can do anything. So with us, it was like end of sophomore year, early junior year.
Yeah, your junior year, sophomore year.
Yeah, junior year, sophomore year. Yeah, that's like a normal time to commit for when we were going through it. But I wasn't sure what I wanted to do because I saw like these schools who had like interest, and I was like, I wasn't really feeling like any of them. Like obviously, like I wanted to pick out in college so bad, so I think if I hadn't gotten anywhere else, I would have just ended up picking one of them. I don't know if I would have been happy, but all I wanted to do was play hockey in college, and I had this like, I don't know, I just really wanted to play, and like these were the only places that were reaching out to me. And then my mom and I decided to take a ride up to Vermont in the spring of my sophomore year for this like 2-day tournament, and oh my god, it was the most crazy car ride ever. It took us like it's a regular 6.5-hour car ride. It took us 10 hours to get there because we got lost. We almost like drove into Lake Champlain. I'm not even kidding.
That's awesome.
We drove on a ferry dock that was closed. Almost drove into Lake Champlain. Had to like call the state troopers to tell us where to go. So we finally get there. I go to campus and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like a beautiful school. Burlington is insanely beautiful. Met the coaches, loved them, started playing. And then all the recruits were there that were already committed, and I started playing with them. And I had like the best weekend of field hockey in my entire life.
Awesome.
And I loved it. And then from there on, I was like, I want to go here. Like if I can go here, like I'm going to be so upset.
Right.
I'm going to be so upset. And I remember calling them for like trying to get a hold of them for weeks just to see if they had any interest. Because if not, I was going to have to like shut myself down and just move on. But it turns out they had interest. And then I was like, well, I had a feeling that it was where I was going to end up going. And then I committed, I think, 2 months after I went on that. That's it. I don't know.
That's awesome.
It all worked out in the end, which is all that matters to me.
So pretty much for the past like 2-ish years, you pretty much know where you're going, right? The whole process there. So, and then, so what's your like what? Well, let's jump to Linz, but we'll get to the next step from there after that. How about you?
So coming from a program from Eastern Philadelphia of just so much success, I had like a really high standard for myself and the teams that I play for, and I was like D1. I have to go to D1 school. Like D3? No, I'm better than that. Which sounds so horrible now, but I'm going to D2 school. And my friends have been, again, calls from here and there and visiting, and I was like, again, like where are my visits? Where are my calls? I didn't really get any of that. And then I realized like D1 is such a commitment. I was like, maybe I don't want to. Maybe I don't want to do that. So I decided maybe I'll look D2. And my coach had emailed me, or Hiley had said maybe like Shippensburg, and I was like, I don't really want to go to school in Berg. I said that. I literally said that. Berg. But I ended up going, and I love the coach, and it's not just like field hockey all the time. It's like she encouraged us to like get a job and like focus on like your state, like your mental health, and like what you're eating and stuff like that. It's like an all around thing. It's not just like field hockey.
Right.
So I committed June of junior year. It's like right at the end of the school year. But it was long and hard, and I didn't understand why all my friends who didn't even like field hockey that much were getting these D1 offers to go to these amazing schools, and I was struggling with it. Like my friends, like I hate field hockey. I don't even want to play anymore. I'm just playing to go to college. Like, I need the money to go to college. And they were just like saying that while they're going to like these amazing schools, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing here.
Right.
It was like a slap in the face, and it was like 2 years, 3 years of that, and I was like, when am I gonna get my chance? And it was so like heartbreaking that my friends like, you know, got to go to these places. Then I was and get like, you know, say like, oh, I'm a D1 athlete, and I wasn't getting that. But I think I'm gonna be a lot happier where I'm going versus if I was going anywhere else to play like at a D1 school, like crazy D1.
Right.
And like how you were saying, like it's kind of like a slap in the face when they were saying stuff like that. That's how I felt too. They would always be like, I don't want to go to this tournament. Like I hate playing. I hate doing this and that. Like me, that's all I wanted to do. Right. So it was like really discouraging that like schools that I like dreamed of playing at were like options for my friends who didn't even want to play.
Right.
But they weren't options for me, which was really heartbreaking. That was like really hard to.
Yeah, especially when you're 15, 16 years old and you just don't even understand like why are they getting it and I'm not getting it.
Right.
Like, you're never gonna understand. Like exactly, that's the hardest part. Is just thinking about it and being like, well, why not me?
Right.
Like I don't understand. Like what did I do?
So let me ask you. So, what's your takeaway from that? Like reflecting on that. Like, have you taken some time to reflect on like that process? Why, you know, like the question you just asked, right? Like, why me? Right? Why am I going through this? Why am I? Like, did you ever reflect on like what that is and like how?
I definitely did. Like, especially for being a goalie, it's so much harder to recruit goalies because you only need so many. Right. There's one spot on the field, and you have 4 years, so you don't want to take a goalie every single year. So immediately my options went from here to there. Right. Of schools that I wanted to go to. And I was like, and I knew that. And I knew, you know, this school, they need 6 forwards. Right. They don't need 6 goalies. Right. So I knew that it was going to be a little bit difficult for me. And then my friends started committing. I was the last one to commit, mm-hmm. and I'm the only one not going D1 mm-hmm. of the 9 of us. So it was a little bit like, you know, not disheartening, but it's like, you know, oh, I'm odd one out. Not really. They didn't say that to me. Mm-hmm. If they did, I'd punch them in the face.
Right.
Honestly, Lindsay's probably the only one out of all of us that's going to win a national championship, though.
And so. I'm going to such a good program. Like, I realize it's going to be okay. It doesn't matter about the division you're playing at, because when you're 40, right. saying you're a college athlete, like, it doesn't matter where you played. Like, it just, like, doesn't matter the division. Doesn't matter if you're going to UNC or you're going to, like, Rider. It's both D1. Like, you can... It's still like the college experience, like the D1, like athlete. They own you no matter what, and I realize like it's okay to not be like with everybody else. That's like that experience. I'm gonna have a different one, and then
right.
That's okay.
So like and then that's the other part with that too is, yeah, there's been a couple of like obviously we work with a lot of athletes, yeah. and there's a lot of different stories that kind of come in. There was one person I was talking to who does a lot of like mind performance, you know, like that side of training. Yeah. And, you know, we set goals for ourselves, you know, when we're younger that aren't necessarily the goals that once you get to that age that you actually want to commit to. Because yeah. when you're younger and you set goals like I want to go D1, I want to go D1, I want to go pro, I want to go whatever, yeah. you know, whatever level of because kind of like you mentioned earlier, like mediocre is not okay, right? But what if so there's players that you know they have the ability to go play D1, yeah. but then they go decide to play club or they decide to go play like a lower level or whatever it is, but they still love the sport that they're playing, yeah. right? So like when it comes down to it, it's you know where you know did that kind of also play into like that kind of mind thought process too, or
yeah, I knew that I didn't really know at the beginning. I decided that I wanted to play, you know, big D1 college field hockey when I was in like 7th grade, mm-hmm. and then by junior year I was like, it's not really what I want anymore. I'm like thinking about what I want to say.
That's fun.
And like that's fine for your goals to shift around. Like
the thing is like your development, right? Like the biggest piece of everything is just it's where you're developing. Because again, kind of like you mentioned. You get to play your sport for a certain amount of time, right? So like, it's not forever. Yeah. Like there's some people that are lucky to well, not even there, it's not forever. But it's when it comes down to it, it's a certain piece, right? And your experience is the most important part.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I feel like everyone that talks about like the goals that they have, everyone wants that level, but not necessarily. But it may not fit you. Like maybe that's not the part that fits you best. Go ahead.
When I was 11, I made a chart in my room. Lindsay knows about this. It was a goal chart. So I made it up to the year of my senior year. So I made it when I was 11. Like I wrote Theresa Schmus 11 years dash, and then was gonna mark it off when I finished it. I actually never took it down, and I've been doing it every year since I posted it. But it's funny too because I have like check marks up there that say like Olympics. Like
go to Australia.
Go to Australia. Like
make
do
top
all this
for your
stuff.
team.
Yeah, like it's so crazy how like I can see like the evolution of my goals throughout since I was 11.
That's cool.
And I just made mine for my senior year the other day actually, and it was just like trained for college. But it's crazy how like I have goals up there that I wrote when I was 11, like go to the Olympics, do all this stuff, like, and now like compared to the ones that I wrote recently, which is like like pass my run test, like. Work on my skills. Like it's so different.
Like the run test wasn't in your 11th.
Yeah.
In your 11th.
I didn't even know what a run test was. When I was 11, I thought I was going to Princeton or UNC. Like,
right.
Obviously not. Like, it's crazy to see how like they changed. Like even my goals from last year to this year are just so different. Because you realize more like, what do I want to do with this sport? Like, where can I go with this? Because everyone knows like their ability, and like. You know what you can and can't do. Like, I could never play in the Olympics. Like, could never. Like, it's just, I don't have the facilities for that. I just don't, it's just not me. It's for someone else, but it's not for me. And that's a great, like, goal to aspire to have, but I gotta be realistic.
Right.
There's so many things I want to do with my life. Maybe stepping away and doing the Olympics or even working towards that is taking away from other things I could be doing.
Right.
So it's funny too how it's just nice to see how like they've changed, how like my mindset changed.
And that's the thing. Listen, it's great to have it's great to set up goals. It's great to set like standards for yourself, right? Because listen, when it comes down to it, you don't want to, set stuff that's
way under your reach.
Well, under your reach. Right? It's great to set stuff that's over your reach because then you're reaching for that, right? Because if you don't hit it, at least you got close to that spot. So at least that way you're getting close to. You're going to be closer to what it is. Yeah. It's funny. There's a guy that calls it 10x, right? So basically, whatever your goal is, you multiply it by 10, and that's what you should be shooting for. Yeah. You don't hit that goal, it's okay because at least you're reaching for the highest part. Because again, you reach for the basic goal, and you may not hit that, and now you're even lower than it comes out. But I think when it really comes down to this is like the experience sports. What they really do is they really help you develop as a person, and they take away time from you doing stupid stuff.
My dad does that all the time. My dad's like, I've always wanted you to play sports because I think it'll keep you out of trouble. Right. I'm like, honestly, you're right, because what do I do on weekends? I'm at tournaments, doing everything.
Right. And
all I wanted to do when I was younger was play hockey, so I don't even think I thought about like doing the other things. And you always have that like, you have so much to lose. Right. So like, do you want to make that decision and like possibly lose everything? Right. Or why don't you just play it safe? Right. Keep what you've worked so hard for. Yeah. I always think about that.
100%. Yeah. Well, so with that, now you girls have that next step, right? So now the next set of goals for yourself, right? You're gonna 10x your next set of goals. Oh yeah. So I'm just not a trademark on that. That would suck. Just kidding. But so your goals for the next step. What is how are you girls preparing for playing the next level of field hockey? What's the mindset? What's the just give me overall what's your way of doing it?
Well, I'm honestly sitting here. Obviously, my biggest thing is I really want to get faster. Like college is so fast. Like Eastern's actually pretty fast. Yeah. Like we play at a high level. Right. But which helps a lot with my transition to college. Eastern, I've heard from so many girls, transitioning from Eastern to college is like sometimes the same thing. It makes it easier. Like we're very lucky we don't come from a program where it's like, oh, run a mile before practice. Like we'll just do like 4 drills and then you can go home. No, we practice till 6 o'clock at night. Right. So I have that like mentality that work hard, nothing's gonna come easy, which is gonna help me so much in college. But so I'm training here, and I'm doing a lot of skill work. I do like small group sessions. I have like practices. I'm playing for a team right now. Going to Ireland this summer.
Nice. So
I'm playing for like a Philly area team. So I'm gonna play against their U17 national team or something like that. So also doing futures, which is basically we have regions. So New Jersey's a region. It's basically all the top players in New Jersey play with each other on Sundays, and then I want to make the national futures championship. So play on a team with all of them and represent New Jersey at the national stage. So.
Do you have anything that you're nervous about, pumped up about? What, like, because you said you really like the coaches, right? Like that side of it, right? Like what are your, what's the picture in your mind, right? Like what's the picture at in September when you get there, or August, but like September when you get there, what it's going to be like and that kind of thing.
Well, I really want to try and make an impact on the team. Like I know if I work really hard, I can. But obviously, if it doesn't work out, that's totally fine. I'm still going to work hard. I'm going to work hard for my teammates, make my teammates better. But I definitely want to work my hardest to try and make an impact on the team. I definitely want to get playing time my freshman year. Right. I think it's a huge thing for me too, is I really want to pass my run test with like flying colors. Right. That's like a huge thing. I tell Rob that all the time.
Listen, everyone that trains with us is top 3 when they get to their training camp, so you'll be good.
Good, because I told you I sat in bed the other night and listened to the beeps.
Right.
I'm just trying to get it ingrained in my
Envision
mind.
Envision it.
That's what I did. Envision me running it.
Right.
But I don't know what you're.
Just don't pass out on your first.
Yeah,
I won't
do that. I'll drink a lot of water and hopefully don't get sick.
Right.
But I don't know what your run test is.
We don't have a beep test. We have a 2K, which is 5 laps on the track, and then we have a condo, which is like, I'm not sure the distances, but it's 5, 10, 15, 25. Like 1 rep of that in 40 seconds, 10 times. So I'm just working on, I've been going to the gym, and then I have practice twice a week, and I have games on Saturdays, sometimes Sundays. Coaching has been helping me a lot, like, and then working with the younger girls, because like, I can help them at the same time as helping me, because like, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I can't say do this and then I do that.
Right.
So that's really been helping, as far as it goes for like what I'm envisioning. I want to go, if I can go in shape, I will most likely be able to like start.
Right.
So that's really what I'm focusing on. I'm really hoping, a lot of my friends have gone to schools and they're like, my coach is not who recruited me. She's totally different. She's a psycho, she's this or he's that. I don't want that. I know I'm not going to have that, which is like really relieving.
Right. Same with me.
I just really hope that I'm able to go and I'm not like completely like an outlier. Like I want to be able to like come in, fit right in, be in shape, play on the team, make the changes, stuff like that.
Well, that's the do you have like a, because the hardest part is coming in as a freshman, right? And especially the curious part to me, like when you girls come in, right, coming from an Eastern program, right? Because anybody, I feel like any program, like any sport, right? The hardest part is when you come from a high level program like Eastern, right? Do people give you extra pokes? So I'm curious. I will be asking you in a few months when you get there, right? And then they do give you extra pokes. You let me know. We're gonna go have a talk with them. But no. So like, from that, like, what's 'cause you mentioned the coaching piece that you're doing right now. I know for me, when it comes to coaching, it's interesting. Things that I learned when I was younger, like in hockey, I may not have understood why the coach was saying what they were saying, but as you start teaching, did you notice how it starts like, oh wait, that's why they say that?
Yeah.
Like as you start explaining it and the kids start asking questions and that kind of thing, right? It's actually pretty cool how like you start explaining it. Like I have moments, I'm telling you, there's moments that I'm training someone and like I haven't played, like I haven't been coached since like for 15 years now, right? So like I think back 15 years, I'm like, oh, that's why he said do that, It's like a crazy moment. But so envisioning myself, that's, and you said you like the coaches, right?
Yeah, I love that.
So how do you feel, how do you feel like the transition? Like, have you had talks with them like throughout? Like how were,
they've been talking to me. They're excited for me to come. My class is really big. There's 7 girls. so it's a big addition to the team. They're ready for me to come. They've been coming to my games on the weekends.
That's so nice.
Yeah, the JPL, they've been coming to recruit
nice.
like the year younger, the 21s. Watch my game, they have a chance. Yeah, they're really excited for me to come. And I know getting in shape is not going to be easy, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to have to do it if I want to play.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. So, ladies, we're at the end of this. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did as well.
Yes.
All right. My last question that I always like to ask, who is, and again, you obviously mentioned your parents, but parents are an obvious answer just because they listen. Not just from like the teaching piece, the investment piece, and everything they do. So feel free to bring up your parents. But is there a coach, 2 coaches? Is there someone that when you think of like a mentor, someone that's kind of helped you develop? Who would you throw out there as your, And again, obviously, parents are you're welcome to mention your parents, but if there's like a story there, if there's anything that you kind of wanted to touch on.
Coach Hiley. I'll say, like, there were moments where, like, she knows this too. There were moments where I was sitting like, oh, I hate her. Like, why doesn't she like me? Total opposite. She loves me. She treats us like we're her kids. I went through the hardest time my sophomore year, and I lost my uncle, and she was the first person there when I was going through that stuff. Like, she was the first person there to comfort me. She's the first person to yell at you when you try to make you better, but she's the first person there when you need her. She treats There are moments where I sat, like, I could be like, oh, I really don't like her, but I'd be lying to myself. Because no matter what she's put me through, whatever I've done, I've learned. She's taught me so many life lessons within field hockey and without field hockey, and she's still been there for me whenever I've needed her. Like when my mom passed away and my uncle passed away, she was one of the first people to contact me and pull me aside and ask me how I was. Went to school the day after my uncle passed away, and I texted her because I wanted to let her know, and she came out and just hugged me for like 15 minutes. She's just that kind of person, and that's something I'll never forget about her, because that meant a lot.
I would say Coach Hiley as well, because when you're playing club, you have 2 years as an age group, and then you move up, and then you move up, and then you move up, and you're with your coach for a season at a time. Let's say you're on the second team 1 year, then you're in the first team. You're getting switched around a lot, so you're getting a lot of different like spheres of influence. But being with Coach Hiley for 4 consistent years, where she's coaching you from pretty much June to November, and then all in between when you're playing for a club, that being with her and having her like constantly like in your ear, talking to you, coaching you, this, that, like that's really helped me a lot. And like I love my other coaches, like my club coaches, but like the constant influence, like the always her being there, like her presence is like really helped a lot.
Within the Eastern season, I can genuinely say it's gotten me so much better. To think about where I was freshman year, to think about how I see the game today, it's insane the difference. Like, insane.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, listen, just from the competition that she put against. Because the thing, like, there's only so much, like, listen, skills you can do, skills work. The piece where you're conditioning and you're doing all these different things. That's all good stuff, but really what matters is just being so hungry that you want to win it every single time. Every little game, like you said, no matter what it is, whatever's going on, right? Like you just want to win. Like and it's really cool that that's the culture that she kind of creates. That it's let's go, let's make this happen. So, ladies, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you.
And I will be bothering you in another carry the 2, carry the 3, 6 months.
Yes, to see if we get that poke.
Yeah. Listen, we'll have talks with people if there's any pokes.